Okay, this is where we got to last time with our little triangle. Today we're going to see if we can give it a bit of colour, see if we can make it an orange colour or something. Before we do that, I just want to go over the array business that we started using last time to get our triangle. I said I was going to explain it a little bit more. So arrays, when you have an array and you put this box, the two brackets at the end of the array, you can then fill that array with different things. So you can fill it with a string, you can fill it with numbers, and arrays start at 0. So this does make it, when I first started doing this, I did struggle a bit to realise that an array starts at 0. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, blah, blah. And the same with the numbers. So when you're trying to retrieve something from an array, so we want to get the red colour, we don't put that's the first one, so it's 1, it's not, it's 0. So to retrieve the indexes, this was one of the harder bits to get me head around when I first started learning. I'm still learning now, but that's another thing. So, and once you get your head around it, it is quite simple to use arrays. And then you can also print out an array size. So if you need to know how many items are in your array, which will become useful later on as we move through this, arrays will be a big part of it, especially when we move into 3D, etc. Anyhow, I thought I'd just like to add that to that. Anyhow, shaders. We're going to need to add shaders to our project to get things going. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a new folder, and we're simply going to call this folder shader. Or shaders, actually. And then in headers, we're going to add a new file, new item, and this is simply going to be shader dot, well, get rid of that a minute because we'll start this way around, dot h, so shader h, and add that. So we've got that in there, and in our src file we're going to add, I can click the right bit, shader.cpp. Now, because of my amazing typing skills and speed that I work at, I'm not going to type all this in here. I'm going to cheat and go to my GitHub repository, and in the header file we're going to find shader h, and we are simply going to copy this block of code and add it to our shader h file. So we've got that in there, and then we're going to do exactly the same with the CPP file. We're going to go to the I knew where I was going. Now we're going to go to this one and shader CPP, and we're going to do exactly the same in there. We're going to copy the code from there and add that to this file. Go to the top, make sure it's included the headers. It has, and they're correct. Right, now let's have a look at what this gives us. In the constructor, where we have to have this is setting us up for the path, so as we can get our vertex path and our fragment path for our shaders, which we're going to write in a minute. We're going to add them to the, and then we've got some very simple, this just binds the shader program so as we can actually use it in a minute in our main form. And this is just setting up two convenient uniform settings, which we'll also see in a minute when we write the shaders. There's loads of these you can use, but for now we're just going to have those two on there. And then this is you have to have a program ID so as we know which shader we're using for particular things, and we have to be able to compile the shader. And then we've also got a reach. This in the private section here, this is purely this can only be, private members can only be accessed by the member functions and not outside of this class. So you can only use them within this part here, and obviously in the CPP bit, but not outside of it. Right, the next thing we need to do, we'll have a, you can either, like I say, the easiest way to do this is copy and paste it like I've done. If you want to type it out, there you go, that's pretty much all that's on there. And the same with the CPP file. We need to include fstream for file read-in and string stream for the string stream that we're going to do. I've put almost every single line has a comment by it, so this shader's commented basically to tell you exactly which each line of code is pretty much doing. I'll scroll down it slowly so you can pause the video and type it out yourself if you want to. When I originally typed this out, this is the sort of thing that took me all day to type out. And I can't do that on it because I just don't type fast enough, so it just seemed logical to prepare it and then copy it into this program. And like I say, I've pretty much commented every single line that required a comment to make it possible to get your head around what this is actually doing. Lots of it are just checks to see if things have loaded correctly and whether it's been compiled correctly, whether the files have been read correctly. Okay, moving on to our shader folder, we now need to add some shaders. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, we'll get rid of that, and we will just call this, let's keep it real simple, .ver, and we'll add that to our shader file. I don't know why it didn't do that. Did I type that wrong? Why did that not like that? It liked it on my other machine. No, it's not going to do it. Okay, alright. In which case we'll have to quickly make a change of direction. I was hoping that was going to do that on the machine. I don't know why it didn't do that on the machine. Right, let's quickly find this folder and we'll do it a different way. In here we will simply add, see, it's added in there. What is that saying it's not added in there? Oh well. Let's do this. And let's get rid of that one because that's just going to confuse things. New text file. Frag. Okay. We should now be able to refresh the tree there, and we should have those two in there, which we do. We will include those in the project. I don't know why that didn't do that there on my other machine. When I did it, it did it. I don't know why it didn't add them there, but there you go. So let's have a look in here. Shader frag. What are we going to do in here? We're going to, in here we need to tell the shader what we're going to do. Now this is where that where we get our version number starts to have an effect. So there are loads and loads of really good tutorials on how to do shaders. This is the most basic shader you can probably do. Version 460, which is what my version is. Don't type that in if your version isn't that. Type your version in. And then all we need to do in here is that out vec4 frag color, and then we need to do uniform vec3 color, and then we need to do pretty much that, frag color vec4 u color 01. We can come back to these, I think, later and do a bit more of a well, I just noticed something on there for some reason. I don't know why that's doing that. It's being very irritating to me. I don't know why it's doing that, but it is. I don't know why it's not letting me have those as what they were. Right, let's open that one. Let's close that one and reopen it. There we go. Right, and in this one we're going to do very similar, and this will simply be, I can't be bothered to write that out again, so I'm going to copy that. I cheat as much as I can with my typing because, like I say, I'm so painfully slow at it. And then in here, all we need to do in here is layout. Oh, nope. Layout location 0. In vec3, and give it a position, and then void and then GL position vec4, sorry, and the position. And again, we'll have to do a bit more of an in-depth bit on these shaders, because it is all a little bit complicated. Now theoretically, as long as those files don't play up because I've had to rename them, we should be able to go to main. We're going to need to obviously include what are we doing? I'm losing the plot. We're going to have to include shader.h. So that's going to be shader.h. We need to include that at the top, and then all we need to do in here, because everything else has already been sort of pre-set up anyhow, we need to basically tell it we're going to use the shader, and then set the uniform vec3 to whatever color it is we want, and that's pretty much all we need to do. And we'll do that in here, so we just need to do shader no, I've done something wrong. What have I done? I need to do one more thing. What's the other thing I need to do? What we need to do first, before we can go there, nearly missed this bit. That was getting carried away. So under here, what we'll do first, we need to tell it where the files are, obviously. So we need to have, so let's do shader, yep, shader, and then we're going to tell it where the files are. So the files are in, we've got ours in shader, shaders actually, get it right, otherwise it won't work. It probably won't work anyway, that's another story. Shaders, shader.vert, and we also want, luckily it's filled it in, that'll save a few seconds, shader.frag. So we need those in there. We have to set this first, obviously, because we're calling it from a class, so we need to be able to call the shader, and then down here now we should have shader.use, and then I can't remember what it said, shader.setUniform, set uniform, and we're going to set, no, we're not setting that, we're setting uniform vec3, because we're just going to do a color for this. Our color, is that what we called it? uColor. So this is what tells it. Was that in capitals? Anybody notice? Yep, uColor. So that basically sends this to the shader and then tells it that we're going to output this color. Now if I haven't made a complete mess of that, which I seem to do with these shaders for some reason, I don't know why that wouldn't allow us to set them up, we should be able to click this button and get a sort of an orangey color or a green color. Or, yeah, no, it's going to be green, no, red, green, blue. So it's probably going to be an orangey color. But first of all, we're going to sort out the mistakes. Oh, all right, be like that. Wants me to this. For some reason on this machine, every now and then it asks me to delete the thing before it. There's probably a way of, I think, not 100% sure, I think it's something to do with my antivirus software. Please draw a triangle, please draw a triangle. Hey, ta-da! And there we go, an orange triangle. Okay, sorry that was long-winded and a bit of a kerfuffle, but that's what learning C++ has been like for me. It has been a bit of a struggle at times for different reasons. Anyhow, I'm not going to waffle on. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to see if we can draw a plane object, sort of like a square, and actually see if we can put an image on it as opposed to just colouring it, because I think that would be quite interesting. Anyhow, thanks for watching if you did.